Good morning, I'm Gene Rump. This morning we'll take a rare look into the lives and activities of a group we've all been curious about, nudists. Everything from what really goes on behind the scenes of their camps to the reasons they choose to bear all in front of their friends and complete strangers. That's all next this morning on Twin Cities Live. Oh, this is a fascinating subject. I wonder how you feel about all this. What did you think this morning when you got up and we're going to come to this show?
You would ask me again. No, I just said that when I got out of the tub, I can't imagine myself running around playing tennis. I didn't look that good. And I would be very self-conscious. But I suppose if it's all right with them, and they look like real nice people, so I'm sure it's okay. If it's all right with them, it's all right with me.
But would you do it?
No, I wouldn't. Father Anthony'd have a fit.
Who would?
I say Father Anthony'd have a fit.
Oh, the priest at the church would have. Well, isn't this kind of perverted? Isn't this sick?
Not in their minds. I mean, you could be more so like that, reading a book or something else. I think if they have good, healthy minds, it's fine.
But not for you.
It's not for me.
Even some priests.
Why is it for you, Dennis? Why is it for you anyway? Why is it for you?
Why is it for me? Basically because I think it's a natural extension of just normal activities in a lot of homes throughout the States. And it's been accepted for many, many years that people should do what comes naturally. And I can't see on a very hot day turning around and wearing a bathing suit that's full of sand and everything else, and separating myself from the people that I like very much.
Do you agree with what he's saying?
Well, I agree with it, but not out in. I just was raised that you don't do it in public, and that's in here. I'm just thinking sanitary. I think it's great if you want to run around nude. I feel stuffed in clothes, but I don't know, sanitary-wise, I just wouldn't, and us ladies especially.
We carry a towel
more so
everywhere
men
we go
would
to
have.
sit
Sit
on.
down, yeah.
It's a healthy
Well,
regulation.
sitting and we women know there's certain times when you just couldn't.
It's just a natural thing. God created that way, and it's not looked at as a dirty time of the month or it's just a part of your natural body to do.
But I don't think of it as being dirty. I just was raised, you wear clothes, and I'm too old now to go.
You're too old now to take off your clothes.
Well, I mean, if you could see the shape my body was in, you'd agree.
Is that the thing that most people, Cliff and Linda, is that the thing that most people are worried about?
You can see some of our members, you'd feel real good about your shape, probably.
You'd probably realize how good you, what good
It's
shape
just
you are
that
in.
all you see on TV, did you ever see a car advertised with an old floppy, you know? You see a beauty coming out, and when I think of going to a nudist camp, I think of all being young, beautiful.
And you're a 58 Rambler, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm a 48 Chevy, I guess. I don't know. But I have nothing against it, but I just couldn't do it myself. And sanitary-wise, I just couldn't picture it. I just can't.
Do you all feel like you're in a beauty pageant when you're out there?
No, absolutely not.
One thing,
because
it
we have a
isn't.
complete
It isn't a
cross-section.
Body Beautiful contest. If you went out on University Avenue and you stopped the first 200 cars, took everybody out of those cars, the sizes, shapes, professions that you would find is what you find at Avitan. Well, you can look at us. We are not body beautiful. The ages, the
Well,
sizes,
we wouldn't say that,
shapes,
you know.
we're all different. And that's Avitan, that's every nudist.
But how did you feel the first time that you all went? Didn't you all feel like,
feel a little frigid at first.
Yeah?
But then you get uncomfortable because of the fact you have your clothes on.
Did you have to get the hang of it? I don't know if that's the right phrase to use or not.
Good terminology.
Let it all hang out of it.
No, I think you soon become to realize you just accept the people as they are. You're not looking at them for their beauty or their shape.
Or what they do, or
Yeah.
how they
How
make their
expensive
living,
their clothes
or
are.
Right.
how You take a person that goes out there, if a person can only afford a pair of Levi's and a t-shirt, or somebody comes out there in a $200 suit, who knows?
Because the suit's back in the dressing room.
Yes,
Yeah.
everything's back
Personality
in the
is the
dressing room.
important thing.
It's all personality
Yes.
and what the people are, not what they do or what they
And
make.
speaking of the lady with the priest, we have had a priest who is a member of Avitan. We've had a Presbyterian
What?
minister.
Oh, yes. He might come
we
out and
have-
recognize somebody he knows.
You don't
We had a
approve of that
rabbi.
priest being out there, do you?
I don't care. It's okay.
We're serious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What?
And we do have,
Members
some
of the
clubs have
clergy.
non-denominational services on,
Yes.
on Sunday that are held in the nude. And so you don't have to miss church or whatever.
If I would go to a camp, I would want to do recreational sports and things like that. And I understand that you do that there, but I don't know how I could play tennis or how a little child could go down a slide. It would seem impractical with
We hope there's some water going down the slide along with him. It helps an awful
Oh,
lot.
okay.
In the pool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
in
cool.
the pool, right?
Our
Or volleyball.
crew went out and shot some film at Avitan over the weekend, and there is the pool area and shuffleboard. Is there any place where you absolutely cannot wear clothes?
In the
Swimming
swimming
pool.
pool.
Just
Yes.
pool.
In the swimming pool.
It's because we're too cheap to clean our filters, and it's the polyester in the swimming suits that does most
Yeah,
of the damage on
all
your
kinds
filters.
of problems with the materials.
And that's where the teens
Yeah.
basically start out their nudity, is at the swimming pool, because the swimming suits are forbidden in the swimming pool.
Yeah, I'm really curious to know if the cameramen took off their clothes while they were filming.
We'll keep that a secret.
That's their business.
I didn't go along, so I did not do that.
Remember, clothing is used when it is necessary. Say somebody gets certain parts of their anatomy burned because it's their first or second visit out, you've got to be reasonable and put something on. It's when protection is required. If you're doing some repairs on a trailer or a cottage or whatever the case may be, certainly wear something as the job dictates.
Or if it's chilly or
Yes, or
whatever.
anything,
if
Weather
you
yes.
inclement.
Got a
Sure.
cold, right?
What do you do for mosquito lotion out there?
Skin
You
face
have
off
lots of
works
it.
excellent.
Spray all over.
Spray all over you.
A lot of swatting.
Face
A lot
it,
of-
we're living in Minnesota, and there's a lot of mosquitoes out there.
There are
Same
a lot of
in
foggers out there too. With
Foggers and
yeah.
bug zappers, and
Yeah.
they use everything out there.
And
works.
ticks and chiggers and things like that.
But just like if you go out in your backyard, you're going to get wood ticks.
Stay where the grass is cut. You don't run into ticks.
Good morning, you're on Twin Cities Live. Go right ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to make the comment that I have to disagree with this whole concept. I think it's extremely sexually exploiting. And I just had a question for all these people. Does it ever become a sexual, don't they ever get sexually aroused or I don't understand it and I don't agree with it.
Surprisingly, people are not sexually aroused. That's the greatest fear of most
Oh,
people.
come on.
The first time they come. No.
Really?
There is more sexual type activity and looks and
I mean,
remarks
as
made
a
at
guy,
beach.
I think that would be the first question on my mind.
But when
what
you're
do
at
I-
a beach, you like to imagine what
imagination
these girls
that
have,
creates sexual
and
arousement.
it's all in your mind.
Yes.
Out at Avitan, everything is basically hanging out, as you said earlier. And there is nothing sexual or enticing about that.
No.
It's the unknown that becomes sexual
Enticing.
and exciting.
Imagination.
Exactly.
But isn't this just one big orgy that's going on up
Do
there?
you think we could exist for 25 years if that sort of thing was going on? up there?
Well, you know, Dick Drost did in Indiana at Roselawn at Naked City.
Yeah, he was selling passes to the club to anybody that wanted to come in as long as they had the money.
And when he took over that club, he was also kicked out of the ASA, American Sunbathing Association, because of his practices.
Right.
And Dick DeRost's organization as such, we do not acknowledge as having anything to do with us and don't want that kind of connotation because we aren't. Just like the girly shows downtown and the theaters, things like that, we do not have anything to do with that.
So do you have rules? What do you do to keep it from...
Very strict rules. and
Very strict
regulations.
rules.
Tell me about the
Everybody's
rules.
screened when they
The sex
Conduct
thing-
which requires no apology, I think, sums it up very nicely.
If you have to apologize for something you've done, then you've done something wrong.
Right.
On the grounds,
Yes.
even a married couple would be allowed to walk maybe with their arm around each other or hand in
Stand in
hand,
it.
and that's about it. Now, we have a campground trailer park up there. In their own accommodations, it's their business what they do, but out on the grounds, that's not allowed. No overt sexual acts on the grounds.
You mean you can't hug or squeeze or
No.
Well, like I say,
As we said, a
like-
kitchen kiss would work, but not a bedroom kiss.
Well, that sounds kind of prudish, doesn't it? for
Right,
you?
we are,
But
basically,
we have
in a way
it's
we
a
are.
family.
Does that sound like
it's
any
a family
fun?
type
Why
club.
It's a family environment.
I don't know. What?
It's a family type club. We have a lot of children out there.
Yeah.
Is this just a camp once a year that you go to? Or?
No, it's open all summer.
No, we're open all summer, and in fact, we are open in the wintertime. I was a teen advisor out there one year, and we took the teens out, and we have a wood-burning stove in our clubhouse. We put up the wood-burning stove. They brought their snowmobiles out. We've got 40 acres for them.
They were out on the snowmobiles without any clothes on?
No. Just because
Course,
we're
Joe,
Nudists
would be
does not make
horrendous.
us
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
We're licensed by the state as a trailer park.
Yeah.
So we have a campgrounds that some people have permanent trailers out there and some people bring out campers or tents, that type of thing.
Dennis and Elaine, how did you all come to become nudists, or is it naturalists or naturists?
Well,
Naturist is another
Yes.
term, but we'd prefer to use that than nudist, because nudity, in the
Explain what
sense
we are.
that today, connotates, something,
Sexuality.
sexuality and everything else, which is good, but not in the way it's portrayed in the media.
So
And-
how did you come to this lifestyle?
Well, my husband clipped out a little question once from the newspaper. We're from Winnipeg, actually, and it was a response to where was the club in Manitoba. So he stuck away in the drawer, and one day he was cleaning out the drawer, and he came across it again. He said, "How about our writing away for this, just out of information?" I was a little scared that we were getting into a swinging club and that, but we got a very nice reply from the people, and we went to the first meeting, and are still a little hesitant. But we met the people, and we're very pleased, and we've been nudists since
They enter-
1971.
71. They interviewed us to make sure that we would fit in and everything, and we weren't going to upset the club and that we conform to
What kind
their
of questions
regulations.
did they ask you?
Well, they wanted to make sure that we weren't swingers and weren't going to create a problem and not follow the regulations and everything that they had set down a little more strict back then. And when they found out that we would fit in, then we became members. But this was in January, so of course there's just saunas in a person's home or whatever the case
Elaine,
may
what
be.
do you do in real life?
I'm a teacher.
A teacher?
Yeah.
What would happen in your school if they knew that this is what you do?
I haven't hidden it from anyone.
Did you ever have like a bumper
when I was
sticker
in
on the car?
I
or-
used
Yeah,
to
we
have a
used
bumper
to.
sticker on
Yeah.
my car.
You
It said,
did?
Dare
Oh,
to
yes,
go bear.
yes.
Dare to
Yeah.
be bear?
Dare to go bear.
Yeah.
Yeah?
This was in the school I was in twice before, two schools before, and people used to ask me, and I frankly told them what I'm telling you. And I think some of them were awfully surprised, and nothing more was said about it. I think about 3 people in my school that I'm in presently know about it. They say it's not for them, but it's your choice.
Nudity isn't
Cliff
for
and Linda, how
everybody.
did you come to be?
My license plate says nudist and Mary's says Avitan, so we're not too worried about it.
How about you,
People
Cliff and
know.
Linda? How did you come to the lifestyle here?
My uncle helped start Avitan in 1961, and when they took over my legal guardianship, they took me out to a club in Kansas and said, "This is the way we are, and if you like it, fine."
How old
If
were you?
I was 16 at the time.
Boy, that had to be terrific for a 16-year-old, yeah?
It was in the fact that there was no more thinking or wondering, when you're growing up as to what the other person or what the other gender is about. And as far as raising children in the nudist environment, there's been no record of any serious sex crimes or any sex
Crimes committed by
Linda, when were
nudists.
you introduced to this then?
I was introduced to it through my husband Clifford a couple years back.
And the first time he said it, you said,
I'm very interested. I'd like to see what it's all about.
okay. And how about the two of you, who are not married, by the way?
We belong to American Sports and Health Club, and I used to go into the sauna. They're all segregated there, men on one side and women on the other. And I went into the sauna, and I used to go into the sauna nude. It was only women. I mean, to me, that's what you do in a sauna. And all these women had clothes on, they had sweatsuits on, they had towels on, and I'd come in, they'd get up and walk out. And once there was this lady who walked in, I was there alone, of course, and the lady walked in and she looked friendly. And so I said, geez, do you have a problem with me being like this? And she said, no. Her and her husband, at that time, were the membership chairman for Avatan. And she proceeded to tell me about Avatan, and I said, okay, give me the address. We wrote that day. We got an answer back 2 days later. Her husband called the next day. We went up to Avatan on Saturday. We joined on Sunday, and we bought a trailer on Monday.
Well, you got right into it.
Yeah, we did.
Well, we were private nudists at home before that, for maybe 3 years before that. But just didn't realize there was a place around. I lived within 4 miles of where the club is located for a year and a half and never heard about it. It just doesn't cause any big waves with the locals up there.
Later on in the show, you're going to meet some of the kids who are here this morning, and we'll find out how you feel about all this. We're talking about nudists, and I hope you'll stay with us on Twin Cities Live. Len Bias, dead at age 22, and just 8 days later, Don Rogers, dead at age 23. Both young, promising, healthy athletes cut down in their prime because of cocaine-induced heart failure. What is it that's causing athletes to turn to such deadly addictions? Why is drug abuse reaching such epidemic proportions off the playing field? Wednesday morning on Twin Cities Live, we'll try to answer those questions. We'll tackle the issue of mandatory drug testing with the help of former Minnesota Viking Carl Eller, who struggled to overcome his own drug addiction and has gone on to help others. Call us right now for your free tickets. Tomorrow morning's show, 641-1298. There's some more of that videotape of what goes on at Avatan. I wonder, and I saw this tape earlier upstairs, why is volleyball the national pastime of nudists? It seems like every time you see nudists, you see them playing volleyball. Why is that?
It's a non-contact, non-violent type of sport.
And you can get a lot of people on a court at the same time.
Right.
Makes sense. Good morning. You're on Twin Cities Live with us. Go right ahead.
Yes, my husband is a nudist, and he clipped one of those little articles out, Family Fun Weekend. And we have 2 small children, and I'm real worried about the children going up and seeing all the private parts that we were trying to tell him that are private, and now we're outside in the wilderness jiggling around.
Those private parts aren't private anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to ask how the husband could be a nudist, because one of the requirements is that the husband and wife join together, because it's a family-oriented club.
We're kind of like you, one of the couples, we're kind of the private nudists in home right now.
Private.
We both are, and I'm just worried about I guess the children see us, but other people in the colony or whatever. I'm just real unsure about the children going up there with us.
First of all, it's a camp. We don't like to connotate the feeling of being a colony, or some places call it a camp.
It sounds almost like a commune,
Club,
you know?
yeah.
It sounds almost like something that the
Don't know how
hippies
that
did.
really got started there. There are clubs, resorts, parks, but there is no
Never a
such thing
colony.
as a nudist colony that I know of.
Kids are natural nudists. When you stop and think about your child growing up, you have to tell the kid to put on clothes. You have to make the kid keep clothes on. So kids make natural nudists. Going out to the club, they don't pay any attention. All of us in society, adults, we're worried about what somebody looks like, what a body looks like, how a kid is going to react. Kids don't bother. They aren't worried about sex and all the other things that adults put on.
Whose kids are here today?
Ours are.
Shannon and Clinton. How'd you feel the first time you went there?
Well, I felt it was a little strange, but I got used to it right away.
And is it okay for you?
Yeah.
It never bothers you to see people's private parts?
No.
Private parts.
Yeah?
Well,
Yeah.
God created us all the same way, and it's in the eye of the beholder, I believe, that what they feel is private and not private. Nose,
do you believe
elbow,
that?
whatever.
Yeah.
But do you tell your friends at school that this is what you do on the weekends and during the summer?
A few of my friends know.
And how do they act?
They think sounds like an interesting place.
I'll bet they do. But does it do anything to the way they feel about you? I mean, if they find out that you spend your summers, and you're how old?
I'm going to be 15.
If they find out that you spend your summers going to a nudist camp, does that also mean to them that you might be easy?
No, it doesn't bother them at all. They don't say anything about it.
But are we giving other kids that kind of subtle message?
Well, your younger children, their biggest problem out at the club is how quick they can get to the sandbox. They really don't care, or the swimming pool, or whatever, or get to
or the sports.
But with teenagers, it's a whole lot different.
It's a good meeting place for teenagers, because now, like, Shannon has friends that are from Rochester and from Duluth and from different parts of the state, and the only time that she really gets to see her friends from the club is when we all meet at the club.
And there are other people there your age?
Yeah.
How many?
A few.
Okay. Good morning. You're on Twin Cities Live. Go right ahead.
Good morning. I'm really, really glad this is on. I'm taping this as it's on. My boyfriend and I joined a club about 15 miles away from Avitan about 4 weeks ago. We had been looking for one for months and months and months, and we finally had seen an ad in the paper, and we went up for our orientation. And I remember the first day I went, I wasn't skeptical at all. I was a little bashful. And everybody else that came to the club was disrobing on the lawn and everything, and they were just saying, hi, how are you doing? And I went into the bathroom to disrobe, and I remember coming out thinking, oh, what are they going to think of me? And I walked out, and I felt so good. I just love the openness and the honesty of these people, and I think it's great. I really do, and I'm glad to see that the Bolyas are on there, because I'm an ex-Canadian, so it kind of makes me feel a little even better.
Yeah. And do you tell your friends about what you're doing?
I do. I certainly do, because I feel I'm not doing anything where I'm hurting anybody. I'm doing something that I thoroughly enjoy.
We're not here to push our nudism on anybody. It's not for everybody. We just want people to be knowledgeable of the facts.
Yes. Yeah. One of the biggest problems is what people perceive happens at a nudist camp. If they really understood the situation and understood that it was just an extension of a normal trailer park or campground, except that
kind of like
clothing is
Jellystone
optional.
Park. With,
right, well,
yeah.
okay, yes.
Like
then there would be no problem, and I'm afraid we'd have to...
well, do you invite visitors?
Oh, yes, in certain bases, definitely.
You're just now retired, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if I can arrange a weekend for you to go up and check the place out, do you want to go?
There's one complication. It's couples only, and I would have an awful time convincing my wife to go along. And I wonder how many other couples in this world have a situation which could be reversed, where the wife would like to go and can't talk the husband into it.
I'm sure that happens
both ways.
Yeah.
We've had people that come out and visited for the first time, and where the husband has convinced the wife that this is what he would like to do, and she says, okay, fine, I'll go out and check it out with you. And generally it's the wife that takes her clothes off first. She's the one that's the slowest one to get out there, but generally the quickest one to take her clothes off, because she feels better that way.
Guess that tells you women are more adaptable.
Is it true what dear Abby says, that a lot of women do their house cleaning in the nude? How many women here have done the house cleaning? Well, there's a couple of hands. There's 3, 4, yeah. Yeah.
Ironing isn't recommended, though.
You do barbecuing in the nude?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Frying bacon
last weekend.
That's another problem.
How many nudist colonies are there here in Minnesota?
There are no nudist colonies. There are 2
nudist camps.
campgrounds. There are 2 clubs. There are 3 clubs in the state, 2 with grounds.
There are approximately 200 organized clubs throughout North America, and they are under the sanction of the American Sunbathing Association, which is divided into 6 regionals throughout the continent. And the American Sunbathing Association is only one part of approximately 30 international clubs throughout the world that are under the umbrella of the International Naturist Federation.
We went to the library, and you can get this at the library. When I was 16, you couldn't get these at the library. This is the Nude Beaches and Recreation Guide to the Entire World, including places in Minnesota and places in the Twin Cities.
Yes.
We'll talk about that. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Did you ever get that strange feeling that you had lived a previous life? I mean, you might have traveled to a new place and then sworn that you'd been there before. Maybe you've been reincarnated and simply don't know how to tap into your old lives. Bizarre evidence for reincarnation occurs all the time. A child, for no apparent reason, begins speaking in a foreign language. That persistent pain in your neck that baffles the doctors, or an unexplained phobia, is perhaps the result of an event that took place in a previous life. Thursday on Twin Cities Live, we'll delve into the possibility of physical and emotional help through past life regression, the practice of hypnotizing people in order to detect past lives. Maybe you'd like to try it. Call us for free tickets to Thursday's show. Here's the number, 641-1298. Hi, thanks for waiting. Good morning. You're on Twin Cities Live. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is, are there any people on the panel that have experienced discrimination in their employment, and what is the majority of jobs that the people hold that are at this camp? Are they working while they're at the camp, or is it just strictly during the summertime that they're there, they're off of their jobs?
Mm-hmm.
We're on vacation right now.
Yeah.
We're hoping to be back
So
by
for
this
most people, it
weekend.
is a vacation or a
Or-
weekend retreat. That kind of thing.
Yeah, weekend retreat or whenever you can get out there.
It's sort of like the cabin at the lake, only it's a trailer at the Nudist Club.
We've come down for the last 15 years.
And you have a lot less to pack. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
We've come down for the last 15 years. We have a cabin here, but we also have a club in Winnipeg, and we go there on a fairly regular basis. And yes, work is done by people at their own trailer facilities or cabins in the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some discrimination, and there are some people that they don't know how their employer is going to take it, so they don't make it public that they are nudists.
I have
because-
never had my employer itself. I worked for the city, I worked in private industry, and I've never had the employers say, you can't have a job here because you're a nudist, because that's illegal. But I have had various people that I work with or for ask strange questions, which then I get into the subject a little bit more. They realize that I'm not talking about a sex orgy or something like that, and I really am not hassled after that.
How much does all this cost?
It fluctuates on what you want to be.
We
How
have
often you
different.
want to be.
We have
Basically.
an associate membership, which is your first year membership, and then we have a regular membership. Personally, it costs our cost is about $300.
Isn't the club pretty discriminatory during that first year? You were talking about discrimination at work, don't you? Aren't you pretty strict about who you let in after that first year?
You're on a 3-month probation period when you start, but basically, even those of us up here, all of us have been members for years. We're basically all on probation. If you do something very far out and
Like what?
annoying, or, well, if you suddenly change and do all the things we're saying you can't do, if you sexually approach people, if you went and grabbed people, if you broke a whole lot of rules and did so very badly, you could be kicked out no matter how long.
Do you
you've
throw
been in the
anyone
club.
out? Have you thrown anyone out?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
For one person that or a couple that I can think of, they were approaching people to swing on the grounds, and what you do in your what you do at your own home or in your own private life is your own business. But up there on the grounds, swinging is not allowed. And if
So wait a minute, does that mean that in your private lives you are swingers?
No,
No, it does
absolutely
not
not.
necessarily mean that.
Absolutely
No,
not.
it just says that
No.
a swinger could belong to the club, and we may not know that a swinger belongs as long as they keep that away from the club.
Yes.
That's what matters to us, your conduct up there at the club.
At the club,
And
not necessarily your conduct in your
private life
house.
is.
Right.
You know,
Or club-sanctioned
If they
activities.
approach people at the club and the people complain, they'd get thrown out of the club.
So do you have parties at your homes?
No.
some people do, some people
Some
don't.
people have
people.
get-togethers of people that they meet.
we have parties at our home, but everybody that comes to our party isn't necessarily a nudist either.
Yeah.
We're going to have a
I've-
birthday party for our daughter, and that doesn't
And are you
mean
gonna wear
that
your
all the
birthday
kids that come
suits?
there that does not
Hi, you're on
necessarily
Twin
mean
Cities
that they're
Live. Go right
coming.
ahead.
Good morning, Gene.
Hi.
I just have a comment for the whole panel. I think this is probably the finest example of America that I can think of. I don't necessarily agree with the views of your guests, but I think that in an open society that they should have every right to do whatever
our
they
God-given
please. And I
right.
think that you're doing a lot to dispel the possible myth that it's just a wild orgy kind of a thing, and I think you're doing an excellent job. And also, I have one more question. Do you expect any repercussions from anybody, friends, employers, that you are aware of because you're on the show this morning?
I don't think they'd be here if we thought that way.
I've done PR for years, done TV programs, radio, TV, have gone to other
So no
states
problems.
and opened.
Do you ever
nothing
run
like
into problems with the law? I mean, aren't there places? Could you go down to Lake Harriet and do this?
The sheriff's office in the county that the club is located in we have a gate and a combination lock on it. They have the combination to that lock at all times. They're invited to come through, to cruise through the campgrounds at any time, and they do.
Yeah.
And we have very good relations with the local police and the
One reason
neighborhood.
why I belong to Avitan is because I don't want to be arrested, because I want to lay in the sun without clothes on. And a lot of people do go to the beaches, which I think it would be great if they were legal. I travel all over the world.
I just wonder about, I was talking about this catalog from the library. It lists some places in the Minneapolis area, the Mississippi River Flats, a place near on the Cedar Lake, I'll give you the directions later on, Twin Lakes, and the St. Cloud quarries, all in the Minneapolis area. Couldn't you get arrested for?
You could.
Yes, you could.
Yes. Technically, yes.
Well, isn't that a little dangerous? And couldn't people get awfully surprised if they went out to the Cedar Lake East Side hidden beach, overall favorite of most area nude sunbathers? Huh?
That thing's badly out of date, but you do get tickets if they get you.
Yes.
What does a ticket cost?
Depends on the mood of the judge.
Right.
Could, yes.
Literally.
Well put.
It's a shame that there isn't a legal nude beach in the area. There should be. There's a lot of people that would like to use one.
In a state with 13,000 lakes, it seems a little bit odd that we can't have one for clothing optional Sunday.
Stay with us. We'll be right back on Twin Cities Live. Don't go away.
Very good point.
What would you like to know?
I was wondering, they've got a locked gate and they screen people. Do they ever have people that try to sneak onto the grounds? And if so, what do they do about it?
Oh yes, we do.
Escort them off.
For one thing, we have a limit on the amount of single people that can belong to the club, because the founding fathers was all families, and they wanted to keep it a family type of club, which I think is a good idea too. Although I'm a single, but only 20% of the membership can be singles at any given time, and that's divided between males and females. So there are single males that would like to belong to our club that can't join because of the quota. So they try to sneak in sometimes.
One guy came on a couple years ago. Well, what happened is I seen him in the clubhouse and I didn't recognize his face. And so I questioned him, and I was right. He was not a member. And I asked him how he got on, and he said he came through the woods. So I got the groundskeeper, and we told him to go back and get his clothes. We were calling for a sheriff escort. And when he went back to get his clothes, he was gone a long time. And the groundskeeper and I split up and started looking for him. Finally, he starts coming back. He doesn't have his clothes. He couldn't find them. The sheriff took him away in a borrowed towel, and then we announced over the loudspeaker for any of the kids who wanted to join in a scavenger hunt to come up to the office.
The clothes.
Yeah, so we sent the kids out to find his clothes, and we gave a prize to the winner who found them.
Hi, you're on Twin Cities Live. Go right ahead.
I'm wondering, has becoming a member of the Naturalists affected your sex life? And if so, how?
Probably enhanced it.
Yeah, it has enriched it. There's just nothing to really
How
hide.
is that?
A lot more relaxed about everything. for one thing. Yeah.
See, when people come to terms with their own body and themselves as individuals, they're a lot more relaxed with the people around them. And this is one of the big advantages of being a nudist, is that you are with people that are a lot easier to get to know, because they don't have any of the social veneers and everything that are there when they're clothed.
Gee, I wonder, is it possible when you're up there without your clothes on, is it possible to tell a lie?
I suppose so, but I mean, what need is there to do that sort of thing?
You just be yourself.
Yeah, just be yourself. People...
you seem so much more vulnerable, is what I'm saying.
Mary and I were at a national convention in Maryland in 1976, and there was a medical team there that took the blood pressures of everybody that they could there. They wanted to compare it with general society.
There were a couple thousand people there at
there was
this
like,
convention.
Right, 1,300 people, maybe 1,400 people, and they averaged lower than the general society.
Quite a bit lower.
Quite a bit lower, matter of fact.
And as far as your sex life goes, you don't necessarily have to turn your lights off all the time.
What do you find most significant about what you do?
I think everybody that is a nudist will give you a different answer.
Yes.
Because I am up there for one reason, Jack's up there for another, everybody on the panel is. And we have tried to come up with something in common, and we couldn't. And most of us, the lady who said I wasn't brought up that way, most everybody, we tried to do this sort of a survey, and we asked, how were you brought up? I found more people who were brought up like me, where nudity is not done and basically it's almost dirty, than the other way around. It was very strict growing up in terms of nudists.
As far as the panel goes, I believe I'm the only one that ever grew up in a nudist
So
family.
the rest of you feel like you're somehow protesting against something in your childhood?
No, just doing what's natural.
Almost like if you, a child finds a butterfly and puts it in a jar and puts the lid on it. The butterfly is very, very confined. It must feel certain exhilaration when the lid is open and the butterfly disappears. It's about the same thing.
Possibly the only thing that nudists have in common, I would say, was that they can separate nudity from sex in their mind. They don't use nudity as a sexual trigger like some people do.
I was wondering if you have a lot more in common too. When you get together, you realize that you've got a lot in common, such as maybe you're all Democrats.
And whenever you get together, you know.
Not over
Now it's out. Now it's out.
Yes.
Figures the Democrats would be the ones, right?
And that's like the clothes thing. Everybody takes off all their clothes and all their jewelry, basically, so people have to make it on their personality. It isn't, you don't hang around with somebody or start talking to somebody because they wear designer clothes and so do you.
Do you ever run into anybody you know? Like Uncle Charlie or...
Oh, that's happened, yes.
We have two other members that I went to high
Gee,
school
what would
with.
that do to you if you were going to the camp the first time? And
You're gonna go home.
nothing to be embarrassed about.
People are not,
No,
people are not required to be nude to visit, by the way.
I respect you for what you can feel, because deep down inside I think to myself, oh, if I could only take some of these clothes off. But I thought, if one of the neighbors...
Try to restrain yourself while you're here.
Yeah, to see what she's doing while you're at work, you know, I just...
See, we do this at a place where it's accepted and where we don't infringe on our neighbors.
So could she come up and try it out for a weekend?
Sure. Certainly. If it wasn't a private situation, it wouldn't be legal.
And if we do practice the nudism in our homes, we don't do it with our windows open, so we don't infringe on the rights of our
And if she
neighbors.
becomes a member, does she get a card? Does she become like a card-carrying?
Where would I carry it?
You don't need to carry it while you're up there.
Where would I carry it?
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Don't go away. How many times have you wanted to bring your spouse or your partner to the Twin Cities Live studios, but you weren't able to because they work in the morning? Well, now here's your chance to bring your husband or your wife to our next show, because next Monday evening we will tape a special edition and you won't want to miss it. The topic, how to achieve the ultimate in sexual pleasure. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, no, not another program telling me how to perform in the bedroom. But our guests guarantee that if you follow their technical yet sensitive advice, you will have a healthier, happier relationship. Come join us in our studio audience next Monday night. Bring along that special someone to share in the experience of Twin Cities Live. And the number for tickets is 641-1298. You know, you said earlier that it's a big campground area. Isn't it possible just to kind of wander in there accidentally?
We had a 16-year-old boy do that one year. It was in the fall, and it was a little chilly, and
he was out for a hike?
They had a bunch of teenagers down at the volleyball court playing volleyball, and this kid kind of wandered in through the woods, came out on a path right at the volleyball court. And,
naturally, he had his clothes on.
They thought he was there. Oh, yes.
And did they?
Everybody else did, too, and playing volleyball, and they thought he was visiting with someone. They just hadn't seen him before, so they got him into the game. He's playing volleyball, having a lot of fun. and then a 16-year-old young lady that was pretty well endowed came skipping down the hill just carrying a towel in her hand, no clothes on whatsoever, and this kid just went. And then they shocked, and they knew right away he didn't belong there. So he was escorted out, but on the way out he was asking how he could join. He thought it was really a neat place.
I'll bet he did.
Yeah.
This is a lot better than 4-H camp.
We had about a 15-year-old girl a couple weeks back. She was in the swimming pool. Well, that's the one place that the clothes are not allowed. And she had a top on. Well, quite obvious that she was not a member or a guest. So she was escorted out also.
But you're right next to an elementary school, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, we were there first.
Actually, it's
the elementary school moved next to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We wouldn't have been there.
When we
actually, they're a half a mile down the road and across the creek and things like that. So
when we first started the club, before we even could buy the land or get the land purchased, we had to go to all our neighbors that touched onto the land and get a petition from, have them sign a petition that they were in agreement with us, and one negative person would have outlawed the whole thing, and we didn't have any. And one of them was the sheriff.
Do they allow booze on the ground?
Yes.
Beer and booze?
They do on your campground lot, as long as you use it in moderation, and occasionally when there's a club function, in moderation in the clubhouse. But moderation is the byword there.
Who owns the club?
It's
all the
all
members. It's a co-op,
Yes.
co-op-owned corporation.
There was a time when alcohol was not allowed on the
Yeah,
ground.
it's relatively
Yes.
new law.
Yes.
Do you practice this at home then?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
You do.
Some people
Whenever
do,
it's
I
convenient
think.
and suitable,
At
sure.
convenience,
Some people
yes.
do, some people don't. Some people only go up to the club and take off their clothes. Other people at home a lot and come to the club once in a while. Depends on how close you live and a lot of things.
Well, if you have a whirlpool, a sauna, or a steam room, or whatever in your home, it's a lot more appropriate, of course.
We are reading and hearing so much about skin cancer caused by suntan booths and direct exposure to the sun and all that. Are you more susceptible to skin cancer? Do you worry about that?
Not according to statistics that have been published. But you use it in moderation. I mean, if you're starting to be out in the sun for the first few days, you take it easy, use sunscreen rather, and you just use the common sense. You don't just sit there and bake or burn.
There are some people who are nudists who became nudists because they have skin diseases and were told by dermatologists to get themselves out in the sun, and ended up joining nudist clubs because they came out to heal their skin.
And it worked very well for them, too.
For health reasons.
Yes.
Stay with us. We'll be back in a minute on Twin Cities Live. you'd like some more information about our topic today, the Nudists, you can call City Line 645-6060, enter category 8020. That's our information line on the City Line. And if you'd like some more information about Avitan Incorporated, you can write to Post Office Box 309, P.O. Box 309, Minneapolis 55440 is the zip code. We have a wonderful audience full of questions this morning, so let's close out that way. Go ahead.
Do you have handicap facilities? And do any handicapped people go up there?
Yes,
we
Yes,
do.
we
Matter of fact, we just built a new public facility building last year, and being that we're registered with the state as a campgrounds, et cetera, we have to keep up to state code and federal code and all that. Access to the, to the building and the toilets and everything are for.
How many
set up for-
handicap members do you have?
Actually, in a wheelchair, we have one that visits the club.
In a wheelchair, but we've had others that have come that have
Yep.
had some sort of handicap or another. And
Yes, I'd like to ask the people up there, especially the Canadians, you've made reference about what you do during the summer months. What do you do during the winter? Go south or?
No, as far as the club goes, we're very fortunate to have the full use of a YMCA building from 8 o'clock on a Saturday evening until we want to close it up. We have the keys to the building and let ourselves in and out and use everything in the building for the 4 hours or whatever in the evening. And this has been going on for about 15 years
With
since I
Avitan
got that
also,
going.
we do have winter.
winter
Okay.
Activities in
and
people's homes.
We have
Sure.
the saunas and
Yeah.
stuff that you can use inside at the club too.
Or whirlpools, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here that was born with clothes on, came into this world with clothes on?
Well,
No, none of what
Do you have church services up there?
Pardon?
Do you have church services up there?
not at our grounds, we do not.
But at
But in
many of
others
them,
we
There are
visited
some,
there.
yes.
you do. I
Larger
wonder if you're going
resorts
to.
in Florida and California do have regular Sunday services.
They're non-denominational.
Yes.
Oh, that's what
Yes.
I was wondering.
Yes.
If you were members of,
Father Patrick
most
didn't
of the
want you going anywhere
members,
else,
you
right?
people were members of churches.
Yes.
Most of the
Different
people
organized
up there,
religion.
whatever organized religion you belong to, there is a church not too far from the club grounds, and so you
They
leave the
just
club
go on
grounds
their
and
own
go.
sure.
individually.
So will you now be inviting Father to go along?
We won't mention him anymore.
I hope he's
Who did I
watching.
leave out up here? I left somebody out on the back row who had a question all morning.
Well, being nudist, how come you are all like white or pale? You think you'd be tan.
I don't think I'm pale.
Depends how often you can get out. We happen to get out that
In the
often.
last 45 days, I went to work 43 times.
Yeah,
And
a
usually
lot
for
of
12.
Hotel accommodations and dining provided by the Radisson University Hotel, 615 Washington Avenue Southeast on the University of Minnesota East Bank campus. Limousine service provided by Henderson Chauffeured Cadillacs. Hair and makeup provided by the Terrace Hairstylist, 2004 Hennepin Avenue, Minneapolis.
While we're watching those messages there at home, we all checked out their tan lines. And
I have a question to address to the children of the nudist parents. And that is, as they're growing right now, the age they are, teenager I think is one of them, how they feel towards sexuality, and if they're more aroused or curious or less, or
I think it has taken the curiosity away from them. I have brought them up with the fact that the body was made by God and it was nothing to be ashamed of. It's, like I say, it's in the eye of the beholder.
you all have been fascinating. Thank you for spending an hour with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.